Hi, I'm Paul J. Aguilar, news editor at The Vedette, the student voice of Illinois State University, and a reporter for WGLT. Welcome to Democracy's Future, a joint project between The Vedette and WGLT News. We hear from the students who will help chart the future of our democracy. On this episode of Democracy's Future, we hear from some of the people who hold the future of our democracy, college students. Young adults, as always, played a big role in the election, as they often do. Okay, first I'm going to have you give me your full name.
Emily Zamora.
All right, and then grade level and major.
Freshman and undecided.
And then hometown.
Chicago.
So first of all, did you vote in this year's election?
Yes, I did.
And then would you mind sharing who you voted for?
I voted for Kamala Harris.
So what are your thoughts on the results of the election?
It's not the turnout I hoped for, and I think that Kamala had a really strong chance of winning if more people had registered to vote when they have the power to vote.
So what do you feel like Donald Trump's win represents?
Honestly, for women in general, I think it signifies the end of a lot of rights that women have access to, including abortion, and it's just really sad that he has won after seeing his policies and Project 2025 put into place.
What else are you afraid might change under a second Trump administration?
Just honestly advocacy for LGBTQ rights and people of color, and the Department of Education, because education is really important, and people of color and LGBTQ people have value in America.
So there have been statistics that show that Trump has gained popularity among younger voters and Hispanics and black voters. Why do you think that might be, and what do you make of it?
Honestly, for Hispanics, I think it's just really, it could be possibly because of the people from Venezuela. I know that at least in Chicago, there's a mini debate going on because a lot of people who seek refuge here in Chicago have overtaken little village and neighborhoods like that, which is, I think, affected Mexicans and Hispanics to vote for Trump.
All right, first I'll have you say your full name.
Julia Aki.
All right, and then what's your grade level and major?
I'm a senior, mass media.
Okay, and then hometown?
Palatine, Illinois.
All right, so first, did you vote in this year's election?
Yes, I did.
And then would you mind sharing who you voted for?
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Okay, so what are your thoughts then on the results of the election?
I was very disappointed on the results, especially because I believe that Kamala had a lot of good opinions on a lot of specific topics, and also just from watching all the debates from Trump and everything he has to say about the economy and the tariffs. And I personally thought that the public would sway more towards Kamala, just because he is a convicted felon, but apparently not. And that I just feel, I don't know, kind of just, it sounds weird, embarrassed as an American, especially since when you see people from all over the world talking about the election, they genuinely don't believe how people do vote for Trump, but it still happened and he got elected, so I'm just not happy with it.
What do you think his win means for democracy?
I think that, I do hear that people are a little more dramatic on how on him winning, but I think that our country is going to be divided severely, especially with comparing it to the 2020 election. I just think that his plans are not good. I don't think that he will do a lot of good things for this country.
There's a lot of statistics that show that Trump has gained more popularity towards younger voters. Why do you think that might be, and what do you make of it?
I personally have no idea. I would think that, if anything, it's just influencers talking about it, because I personally didn't think that before. I thought that a lot of young people were voting for Kamala, but also I think it has a lot to do with their parents' political beliefs. I mean, like, I grew up a Democrat because of my parents, and then once I was able to make the decision by myself, it is still the same as my parents, but I do think that a lot of people vote because of what their parents believe in.
But, like any other voting demographic, young adults don't all vote the same. Some ISU students were drawn to Donald Trump. Okay, so I'll have you state your full name, please.
Hi, Benjamin Mota.
All right, and then a year and major in school.
I'm a junior, and my major is secondary math ed.
And then what is your hometown?
My hometown is Frankfort, Illinois.
So did you vote in this year's election?
Yes, I did.
And then who did you vote for?
I voted for Donald Trump.
So immediately following the election, what are your thoughts on the results?
It went exactly as expected. I was paying attention on how Donald Trump was running his campaign and how Kamala was running his campaign. And overall, it felt like Kamala Harris's was not well rehearsed or well planned. There was a lot of flops. And at the end of the day, we just didn't know where she lined up in her policies, where we know where Trump lines up. I know that there's some problems that we all don't agree on, but at least we understood one side of the aisle versus the other.
What do you feel like Donald Trump's win represents?
It was definitely a surprise, especially with Pennsylvania specifically, of who basically won Pennsylvania, who was going to win the election, or at least make it somewhat close. How it represents, it showed that there's a huge disconnect between both the media and what the voters had in mind. And I think that's kind of been like the forefront of what Donald Trump's been running against. Overall, it's more or less like just a huge disconnect. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to votes. And, you know, I accepted the terms in 2020 and I'm going to do the same thing in 2024.
Yeah, so Trump did better he did better among black and Hispanic voters than recent Republicans have, even in spite of some of the rhetoric he has used. What do you make of that?
It's not surprising at all. There's a huge stigma when it comes to Mexican, me being a Mexican male as well, where it tends to be believed that just because we are Mexicans, we are at risk of being deported, which is not entirely true at all. We actually, in the Mexican community specifically, if there's a group that hates, or not really hates, it strongly disagrees with illegal immigrants coming in, it's probably the regular illegal Mexican community. It kind of more or less plays on the idea of we don't want to be stigmatized with them. We know that crime comes in, especially with a lot of gang territory and cartel territory moving up. So overall, it's not that surprising. In terms of the black community, I came originally from downtown Chicago before we moved out to Frankfort, and I grew up with a bunch of black Americans myself, and it's exactly the same problem that's been going on for years. We live in a democratic city, yet we still suffer a lot of problems, and that's mainly due to a lot of illegal gang violence that shouldn't be here in the first place, a lot of shootings in our own communities overall in general, and it just doesn't surprise me. Like, nothing's changed with what we've had, so.
Any other thoughts you'd like to share?
But overall, it's just keep the peace. We're all Americans at the end of the day, and I think we can all agree that we all want to progress forward and not take 2 steps behind.
Okay, first, can I get your full name, please?
Yeah, my name is Kavarian K3 Newson.
And then what's your year and then your major?
I'm currently a sophomore. My major is education administration.
And then what's your hometown?
Chicago, Illinois, West Side.
All right, thank you. So first, did you vote in this year's election?
Yes, I voted.
And then would you mind sharing who you voted for?
Yes, I voted for President Donald J. Trump.
What are your post-election thoughts on the results?
Well, my post-election thoughts, I really feel that in terms of doing the research and the party and the facts that Trump put out, or his plan and his agenda going forth in our country, I think that he best supports the things that I believe in, and he best supports like people of my color, black and brown, communities and different things like that. So that's really that, I believe that the results were fair. I believe that the election was fair, and our country is going to go in an upward path with this new president.
What do you think his win represents about the country and like democracy?
Well, I think his win means, in terms of democracy, I think he's very, very much on a democratic stance, I believe. In the last 4 years of what we've seen, basically, he like had a relentless fight on trying to like be the president or trying to be the leader of this country. So I really believe that it really shows that despite the naysayers and despite the things that may be against you, if you still strive for a goal and if you still strive for something that you want and pursue it enough, then it may be in your favor. So
Have you been involved in politics at all before?
I've never been in politics, but I'm always been a student of politics and very much educating myself on the different things going on, whether it's local, governmental, or national.
So Trump recently has had more of a shift, like more of an appeal towards young voters. Why do you think that might be?
Well, I don't know what it may be for young voters, but I know what it may be for me. Is just his like political stance and, like I said, his resilience to like not give up on the fight. Basically, it got to be something in store. And previously, when he was in office, I can't say that we specifically as black and brown people and young people received any backlash or any like decrease in our stands or whatever. Like we. Wherever stands that we have like in government. So if he don't hurt us, I believe that he could be possibly a good candidate.
And a big worry that the political parties have when it comes to attracting young voters to the polls, many of them just don't take the time to vote, even when they know they should. All right. So first I'm going to have you give me your full name.
Okay, my name is Drew Porter.
Yep. And then grade level and major.
I'm a senior, and my major is communications, more so in organizational and leadership skills.
Yep. And then hometown?
My hometown is Antioch. I don't know if it's a small town, so you probably never heard of it, but
Sweet. So first, did you vote in this year's election?
To be honest, I did not, and I'm not proud of that. But hey, I feel like with the candidates that were there, I just feel like honestly, I just didn't really to be honest, really trust either side, So I was just what, I'll just let the world say, and then hey. But my mom, honestly, and my grandparents, they were hey, you should vote, because especially with me being African American, my ancestors, they went through a lot just for me to even be able to have that right, you know what I mean? So I should practice my rights as a citizenship, and that I am I'm pretty what's the word? Help me out, Paul. Help me out. Displeased, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? Or disappointed in myself. That's what it was. Okay. Disappointed. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the results of the election then?
I'm just really hoping that we don't go to World War III. Trump is a very the thing about Trump is he's a really good businessman, but to run a country is not just about business. It's about actually be able to know your people. And I feel when it comes to actually grounding himself with not just the billionaires in the world, but I'm talking about the middle class and the low. I feel he really cannot, because he's always had a silver spoon. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, for him to be our leader, I just don't really trust him to make the final say. I feel he's the type to just press a button and just cause hella havoc, excuse my French, but that's just the type of I don't know, my trust within the economy is at stake right here, if that makes sense.
Sure. Do you follow local politics at all?
Local politics? How so? Can you explain, can you elaborate, please?
So people that got elected to offices here in McLean County.
Oh, see, that's the thing, man. I didn't even vote, so I'm not even that familiar with the area as far as our politicians and everything. I should really honestly get into that. I should, just to know what's going on around me. Something I have to work on. We all got stuff we got to work on, But yeah.
Sure. So there are statistics that show that Trump has gained popularity among younger voters and then Hispanic voters and black voters. Why do you think that might be, and what are your thoughts on that?
Social media. Instantly, it's just anything else. If you put the right type of stuff out there to get into people's heads and to get into people's feeds, they're gonna instantly think one thing, because that's all they see. It's simple mind tricks, it's just simple, oh, you give a certain population only one source, what are they gonna believe? That one source, because they don't know any other side. I feel social media is really corrupt nowadays, and when it comes to like not only just for like one party but for the other one too, of course, they really try to get like you said, the younger generation, the people who's just been iPhone babies their whole life, that just had a nose and they screen their whole life, you know what I mean? That's how they get them, you know, because they don't try to go and try to find the information for themselves. I'm saying that as a hypocrite because I didn't like, you know, do all that, but I'm just saying, like, I know at least that much of like just not to be sheep, just not to be monkey see monkey do, you know.
Any closing thoughts?
Yes, I appreciate you picking me out. You know, like I was just chilling, just got done having a great leg day. Just be able to speak my mind for the people, to help out. You know, what is this again?
This is WGLT.
The WGLT. Yes, anything I can do to help for the people, man. And honestly, I just pray for the best for the country, because at the end of the day, that's all we can do is hope and pray for the best for everyone, not just myself, but for everyone. You know, and hey, hopefully we don't, like I said, have a World War III. Drew Porter out.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this podcast series over this past year. We hope you found this podcast enlightening. Our thanks to audio producer Bren McMonigal, WGLT Digital Content Director Ryan Denham, and WGLT News Director Eric Stock. Please give us your feedback on this series. Email us at news@wglt.org. Subscribe to Democracy's Future on the NPR app or wherever you listen. And you can get the latest news on WGLT.org and VedetteOnline.com. I'm Paul J. Aguilar. Thank you for listening.